welcome to today's professional development series at Attollo. Today we have Dr. Jimyse Brown, the Executive Director of Moonshot Museum with us.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited.
Of course, welcome, welcome. So just to kick us off, where are you from and what were some of your hobbies growing up?
Yeah, so I am from Wilkinsburg, PA. It's in Pittsburgh. And I grew up a sports and music kid. So I played basketball, ended up playing in college, playing overseas with that. So that was one of my first loves before, sliding over to the museum. I was big into music, so writing, poetry, slam poetry, did all those things, gospel idols. So, and then, just live entertainment. So I was that kid. So, and you can't be in Pittsburgh and not be a fan of sports. So
absolutely.
Shout out to the Steelers. There you go. Yeah. Shout out to the Steelers. Always got to make it known.
So you talked about sports sports and music being a pretty big part of your life. Yeah. But could you talk about your journey to college, what you studied, how you made the decision to play your sport in college and then beyond?
Yeah. So basketball was just something that I was always attracted to. It helped with, self-love and getting active in socialization. And so that was like pretty set. Like I knew I was like WNBA or overseas, like I wanted. And after watching Love and Basketball, I was like, Barcelona, I'm sold. Give me paella. That was like pretty set, like clear, like that was kind of the one path that I knew I was going to be on. And I actually did my undergrad in sport and event management. I was really excited about the business side of sports. I've always loved numbers. I'm really big into math. And so being able to work in, the back office of things whenever I was retired was always exciting for me. And then I got my master's in business management, doubling down again, making sure that foundation of how to run an organization, how to run a business was there, and then also how to spread those wings out. And then I got my doctorate in community engagement. And I think, basketball was who I was or what I did for such a long time. But in that transition of having a career-ending injury is when I really found my purpose in life. And so I say my purpose in life is to utilize my knowledge, my network, and my platform to advance my people and my community. And so getting my PhD in community engagement was me making sure that I had the education, the knowledge, the access, the wherewithal to help serve my people and my community to the best of my abilities. And so within that, the whole world just kind of boomed and opened up. It was a whole nother sector of myself, but a whole nother sector of the world that I wasn't even aware that I would be such a perfect fit for.
Absolutely. I just wrote down KKP. I think that's a great little tidbit to remember.
Yeah.
The why behind your work, and honestly, I think a lot of what would resonate with the work that we do here at Attollo. So you earned your PhD in community engagement, and it sounds like it was to motivate you to really invest in your community. I'm curious, however, how did we get to a space museum? Because I have yet to make that connection from sports management.
It's a hard left, a lunar lander, and you're there.
Yeah, not the lunar lander.
It's a hard left, a lunar lander, and it's right there. So the thread, again, it goes back when you know your purpose and you're tied to chasing skill and not title, your mind begins to expand, your access into certain industries begin to expand. And so with my ability to connect with multiple people from different industries, with my ability to be able to create programs and opportunities that not only are engaging and informational to students, but also, worth being funded. And that combination and kind of how I rededicated myself back to people and to community through the educational lens is kind of what led me to be there. Where Moonshot Museum is, we focus on aerospace education and career readiness. And so, when I came back from overseas, I actually started off as a 5th grade math teacher and social studies, but I love the math more. Yeah. Social studies was thrown in. But, starting in there and then working my way up as an administrator in pre-K through 12 education is kind of the thing that was most attractive to the board, because I was working with curriculum, helping understand how do we utilize it in conjunction with the resources that we're afforded to in our ecosystem. How do we help give kids physical manifestations of who they want to be, and also help them combat the monoliths. If I'm bringing in medical professionals, I'm bringing in male nurses. I'm bringing in women within doctors. I'm bringing in people from various backgrounds, ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds, so they can start to understand and how they can see themselves in these roles. And then with Moonshot Museum, when we're helping people find their place in space, again, how do we combat flat monoliths of to make a difference in the aerospace industry, you have to be an engineer or an astronaut. We don't talk a lot about our business development. We don't talk a lot about our technicians. We don't talk about our supply and chain development. We don't talk about how there's various paths into there, our welders, and how you can choose a 2-year, 4-year trade and still make a difference in this industry. There are millions of heroes who never get to leave Earth, but are continuing to be at the forefront of helping us propel forward in the aerospace, advancements in industry of where we're at in the second space race.
Absolutely. So you taught math.
Yeah.
So it seems like you have a bit of a STEM background yourself. To a little extent.
Maybe Katherine Johnson's in front of it. Probably not to that magnitude. But she also started off as a 5th grade math teacher, so I feel that connection.
We love to see it. Now you oversee a space museum.
Yeah.
So I guess my follow-up to that is, you obviously had the skill to lead and to bring in curriculum development and your experience in your wide span experience in education and youth development. Where do you find yourself, and how do you find yourself learning more about the key differentiator of the work that you do now, which is being in the space area?
Yeah, I think it's falling in love with being a lifelong learner. And so it helps that we share a campus with a commercial space company. So we share a campus with astrobotic technology. And so having access of constant resources that are there to be able to continually learn to help, make sure that again, going back to how can I make sure that I have the information and knowledge that I need to be the best leader. It helps that we have partnerships with NASA. And then it's also just understanding that kind of like people are, we have these similarities, and then we also have these things that make us special and different. So making sure that I don't come in with the assumption of just because I have a degree in business means I can run a space museum. It helps, it's with that foundation and there's some knowledge set, but making sure that I don't let my opportunities for growth stay as a negative. How can I continually build myself up, and how can I continue to push others to do the same? And then surround yourself. I don't need a bunch of me's. I'm great, you're great, like everyone is great in their own things, but how can I surround myself around people who are great as well, who have strengths where someone else is weak, and then going back to that sports background, everyone has a role. You know what I mean? I don't need 15 point guards. I might need 2 point guards. You know what I mean? You might need, 4 posts. I might need 3 wings. And then how can I, give them the resources that they need to thrive, and not just, Lord, what am I looking for? I want people to thrive, not just survive. And Absolutely. Then we pass that on into who we work with.
I really appreciate the sports analogy, because yes, you have your team that is actively playing, but without your coach, without the people who are setting up and scheduling where you're going to play, making sure that you have the nutrition that you need, like there are already other components that can go into really just making the team thrive. Okay, so Moonshot Museum is Pennsylvania's first space museum and claims a very unique focus on career readiness, as you already mentioned, in the space industry. Can you explain how that focus works in practice, especially since you work with such young children? And your focus is like a career in space readiness, like that is a very long path. So can you explain how that focus works in practice, and what does it look like day to day, especially for those students who visit?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the student side, it's about giving multi-touch opportunities for them. We call it Grow with Moonshot. So how can we give you experiences from the pre-K, entry point all the way to 2 years post-secondary? So for some, that looks like workshops where we just started teaching kids how to code, starting with color association, into block coding, all the way into Python. For some, it's looking like coming in for our programs where we're building up a new program called Moontrepreneurs, where it's space entrepreneurship. So think Shark Tank, but with space. And creating your own rover, and then going through your Marcom department, and how do you establish your mission? How do you establish your branding? Who are your resources? And so, like, do you have the right team to go there? Can you calculate payloads to actually send it up? And then what does that pitch back to an industry professional? Last year, we began offering internships and shadowships. Aerospace is hard to get into for anyone, let alone when you have additional barriers if it's from the communities that you're from, the socioeconomic status, your geographical location in relation to certain resources. So being able to offer up opportunities for students at an earlier age for them to explore, for them to learn. We do chat and choose with industry professionals. We bring them into meetings that are non-proprietary so they can start to learn how to be a professional, but also start to see, is this what I want to do? And it might be the right industry, but maybe the wrong role. And they have the opportunity to tinker and cultivate a network of their own. And then also last year, I created Pennsylvania's first junior space conference. So we're, yes, absolutely. Because I'm big, if it can't go on a resume, it's not career readiness. Like, let's get it going. So we use what we're learning with NASA and other commercial space companies like Astrobotic. And, we're looking at the snowfall and the Gantt charts of what is going to be prevalent 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. We're putting it into secondary formats of workshops, of exhibits, and allowing them to come and explore and get this conference of knowledge. And then within the conference, we always do a panel discussion, and then I put a student moderator. They don't need to hear me talk. I talk a lot. They can find it, but how can we, again, allow students to take early autonomy for their education, for what they want in life, and give them the opportunity to lead? And 9 times out of 10, and not one time, it's probably because people blink too long, students are going to step up to the plate, and they're going to deliver when they have the people to support them, to help them, and to usher them into what they want to do in life. Absolutely. So we have a bunch of entry points for students, and it's just being there. Sometimes it starts with showing up.
Yep.
And then again, giving them the opportunity to not feel as if because their passions lie in a non-monolithic viewpoint of what the aerospace industry professional looks like or does, it's valued. So I always say that they realize, we're trying to help them realize that they can apply their passions to the industry. They don't have to choose an industry over their passions. So yeah.
I appreciate that. Let's talk about the support system and how we're building the support system for those students, especially because right now in Attollo, we have just completed a 6-week rite of passage onboarding process for our 11th graders, and next week they interview to be a part of our program. So the scholars that are in the audience today, they went through this process last year and they successfully completed it, yada, yada, yada. How do you prep your students for those career readiness chats? And then also, how do you prep the adults who are in the room, knowing that they're used to these chats with other professionals, people who are, actively seeking a career, and this is the first time that this is a student's first time that they might be in the room. So how do you also equally prepare the adults that you're putting in front of them?
Yeah, I think it sometimes goes towards the same piece of advice for both, just delivered in different ways. So one, we do workshops for the students as well, helping them build up, what are the skill sets, what are some of the foundational knowledge that they need just as a professional in general to be prepared to enter that professional space. But it's also helping them understand people are people. We get so tied up into titles of this person is this, so they must, act this way, they must walk this way. They are people at the end of the day, and they also are a person that were in your shoes. For the industry professional, it's reminding them that they were also that kid at one point in time, and also I just want people to be honest. I think there's this fear that you have to put on this song and dance in order to get to something, but both sides are seeking truth. What is the truth and the reality about what I have to go through in order to get to XYZ? And the truth, for the adult, when they realize I just have to talk about my life. I just have to tell them what courses. It allows it to come back to the table of just, it's kind of like food, bring people together, kind of that environment. It's hard to be mean, it's hard to be nasty, it's hard to, feel a little bit intimidated when you're enjoying, a meal over some paella. And so
we're bringing it back to Spain.
Exactly, and that's why we do the chat and choose too, because it lets them be a little bit more relaxed. People tend to enjoy breaking bread over each other, and it just it lowers kind of some of the stakes for both, and it just allows them to step into the space and ask honest questions. We help the students prepare some of their questions, and then we give some of those questions ahead of time to the professionals as well, so they're just not blindsided. So similar to how you all do here.
Beautiful. I guess one more question that I have on this topic in the chat and choose: how do you prepare students who might fear losing their authenticity and their truth because they're in a professional environment, especially students who find themselves needing to learn how to code switch? I was recently talking with a student on code switching, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of struggled with talking about how you can still maintain a professional persona without having to lose that truth? And it's partly because I've just been working towards it for so long, but how do you break it down for someone for the first time?
Whew. That wasn't sent ahead of time.
No, it was not.
No one wasn't sent. I read. That one wasn't sent ahead of time. Man.
Sorry, it just came.
No, it's fine. I think some of these things start just in the home, and it's an unfortunate situation of how sometimes code switching is a necessity of survival in these spaces, and not everyone has to do that. And so this is more speaking as personally than professionally, but understanding that every space that I walk in, I am a Black woman. I can't take that off. And so being able to understand, or going back to the same way I talk to my mother is not the same way I'm going to talk to my staff. The same way I talk to my staff is not the same way I'm going to talk to a child, and not in a negative way, but there's different levels of communication. If I'm conversing with a kindergartner, I'm not going to use the word conversing. It's tailoring to your audience at some point in time, but then it's also helping them understand and recognize that you are here for a reason. When you were afforded the job and they said, yes, we value who you are and what you bring, they did that for a reason. And so not to feel as if they can't be themselves within that space, because them being themselves is what got them that position. It's just also just understanding, what you do. Exactly. The same way I yell at a Steeler game is not the same way I might yell in church.
True. True.
Unless there's other things going on. But yeah, it's just understanding who your audience is and being able to connect with your audience at the appropriate time in the appropriate manner. But you're there for a reason, so make sure that you show yourself. So for me, it's like this. So anytime I do anything public, I wear some kente, I wear some African cloth, I wear, something from Zif Habi. So even if I don't necessarily get to say who I am and who I'm representing, people can see it. So I want to make sure that my people, my family have some form of representation in every space that I step into. So
thank you for rooting your response in your own personal experience, because that brings me to my next question, which is, as the first Black woman to lead a space museum in Pennsylvania, you're breaking barriers. Like you're knocking down doors. How do you hold both the mantle of being the first and the responsibility to make it less likely that you'll be the only one moving forward?
I think it goes back to truth. The board was very honest with me when I stepped into this position, and I was very honest with the board. And so the comfort in that, and understanding that we have some shared value of what this means to not only myself, what this means for the organization, but what this means when we're talking about helping people find their place in space is important. The other thing is making sure that I do things like this. Is I want to, sometimes there's a lot that goes on within operations of businesses, and there's always going to be something that goes on within operations of businesses, but finding intentional time where, when I know certain groups of students or just kids in general are out in the museum, finding time to step out of my office and being seen and talking to them and helping them, finding ways that when we are bringing industry professionals that we show that, but I'm also goes back to the core of who I am. How do I use my knowledge, my network, and my platform to advance my people in my community? And that's the hill I'm willing to die on. And so I always say, you build up your resume for a reason. And God forbid something happens. But I'm okay in pushing to make sure that I'm seen, so that people can feel like they're seen, and just doing the intentional work to make sure that we create spaces. So that's why we do the Junior Space Conference, so I'm not the last. That's why we do the internships, so I'm not the last. That's why we're having the connections with the industry professionals, because I want them to feel safe and secure and empowered at an earlier age to continue on this journey into the space industry, so that I'm not the last. And if I didn't do my job. So it's my job and my responsibility to ensure that that doesn't happen, that the baton is passed in some way, shape, or fashion. So that's in my personal mission, but that's also my professional mission as well.
How do you continue to push forward when you don't see results right away?
Sports background.
Hey!
Sports background. And it's being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the reality is, we are 3 years young, and there are things that we are doing that, thousands of people show up for, and there are things that we do that 5 people show up for. But it's going back to caring for people. Those 5 people matter. And so it's showing up day after day after day and doing the intentional work and the work that we know is good and the work that we know the industry needs and wants, and being patient, right time, right opportunity. Same thing back to sports, like you plan and you prep. Like, not everyone gets to be a starter. So for the people, that are coming off the bench, you have to prepare, you still have to train, you still have to practice the same way everyone else does, because you never know when your opportunity is going to step up and be afforded to you. And when it does, you've got to be ready to take advantage of it and shine and continue to advance. So the same thing, making sure we're ready, making sure that we're planning and that we're prepping so we can be the best that we are, so that they have the right opportunities and they have the engaging moments that they need.
Absolutely. So. All right, Dr. Brown, I got one more question before I pass it off to the audience, because I know that they have questions as well.
All right.
So on this theme of students and supporting them, when you have students, especially in high school or undergrad, who are interested in space and STEAM and museum work, what are 3 concrete steps you'd suggest they take beyond just study math and science?
Absolutely. Chase skill, not title. And I know it's going back to math and science. However, most of the time when people think aerospace, they're going to go, like you said, to that. And look at the diaspora professions. So try things, get out there, learn about the different avenues, the different entry points. I would say that they need to get hands-on experiences. So figuring out how they can get shadowships, internships at an earlier age, utilizing NASA challenges, utilizing NASA internships, looking at commercial space companies. Again, the non-monolithic views, there's so many companies that are in commercial space that they might have an earlier entry point to develop their network, which is kind of like the third thing, develop your network, develop your soft skills as well within that. So again, and going back, chase skill, not title. So figuring out the diaspora that is afforded to you, different positions. There's, people at Astrobotic that I've talked to who are engineered by trade and are now in supply chain development. There are people that were engineered by trade and they are running business operations. And so being able to cultivate skill that is transferable is something that helps you, remain in the industry. It's something that helps you, whether you are choosing to go from one organization to the next. Those early entry points, that's not only good just for the resume building when you're getting experiences, but it also is good because you're going to figure out if you like it. And do you want to do this for the rest of your life? And so that's going to be helpful. And then again, like I said, the networking and developing those soft skills. I always say, like, your network helps determine your net worth. And so the stronger your ecosystem is, that's the people that are going to be able to vouch for you when you're trying to go into the industry. That's the people that are going to be able to help you. We talk a lot about like mentors and mentees. And I say, like, the older you get, the more you need a board of directors. Like, you can't rely, like, you can't be everything to everyone. So why are you kind of doing it on the inverse? And so being able to have the soft skills enough to develop, to have your own board of directors, but also to be in others people's, BODs as well. I say are things that can help them actually get into in addition to the courses that you take, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I was just at a BIPOC weekend for my own high school, and it was very interesting. You bring up this concept of board of directors. There was an alum who mentioned that they, especially for people who are more advanced in their career, that's one of the first things they look for, is where have you served, and did you serve, and if you didn't serve, why? I know I said that this was my last question before opening it up, but I lied.
Okay.
Soft skills are something that aren't really talked about enough. What are some soft skills that you really value for yourself?
Ooh, I don't like the questions that weren't on the paper.
Sorry, the brain just kept working.
Lord. I would say, especially today, in where we're at, empathy. Being able to understand, like, it's a highly competitive industry. It is a lot of work. It's robust work. And we're a nonprofit, and nonprofit work is just, and so being able to have empathy for others and, like, try to understand where everyone's coming at, because people's capacities, we come up, we come down. We're in reallocation of funds, and that's throwing all those mixes in there. Being able to communicate. Like, can you work, obviously, like, and that's, again, going back to the sports background, like, all of the soft skills that I developed, like, it came from sports. Figuring out how to thrive and succeed with someone that you have different opinions from. Being able to thrive and, like, I might not like you, but guess what? We got to win this game. So come on, like, I'm going to pass you the ball, you're going to pass me the ball, and we're going to get it going. So, yeah, the empathy, the communication, is big. Like foundational. If you can't talk to others and, you know, be able to receive stuff, especially when you're doing, you know, constructive criticism, and you have to hear something that you worked really hard for, and they go, that ain't it.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to ingest, and to be able to do, and just, I think those two core things, having empathy for people in different spaces because of where we're at just in our current climate, and being able to communicate with others, and knowing the difference between listening and hearing. That's a part of the communication. I think sometimes people think of communication as just what you say, and they don't like pay attention to like being able to listen and hear at the appropriate times. So yeah.
Well, for someone who didn't have all of these questions, because I didn't know that I would be asking them, you're killing it.
I appreciate it. But constructive criticism is key, though, so be honest.
No, you're great. And now I'm going to open it up. So,
I thought you were going to say one more question.
No. Who's got a question? And microphones. If we could pass Leo the microphone, that'd be great.
So you're super high energy. Where do you get this from? How do you cultivate energy now, capacity, and your passion?
Yeah, I think the twofolds. I've just always been a talker. I'm like, put me in front of a wall, we're gonna have a great time. Like, that wallpaper will come very excited. It's the sports thing, and like, again, like, you have to be able to turn it off and on, and being able to know when to conserve your energy, knowing when to like lay it all out there. But also, I find it that when people are active in their purpose, it comes out. Like, so I didn't know that I was giving it off, but it feels like when I'm active in my purpose and I'm doing what I love and what I said is, you know, in alignment of why I'm here on earth, that starts to come out. But I think it's also necessary when you're working with students. No one wants to hear a person who is talking like this is the industry for you, and space is amazing. And I'm like, she hates her life. Like, this is not the industry for me. Like, she doesn't even look like she's enjoying it, so why do I want to go into it? So, you know, finding time like that. And also, it takes too much energy to also be negative. I hate that. I feel like you have to work harder to like be a Debbie Downer and to like screw with people and be mean than it is to just like have fun and be active and like what you do. America's built for us to work until we die, so why not enjoy it? Seriously, like, it is. It's the ecosystem. Like, we work, and whether it's working because you have to or working because you want to.
True.
Like, there's work that has to be done. You want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I want to wake up every day excited to get up to go to do what I want to do versus I have to pay bills, so now I have to get my body up to then do something.
True.
So,
True.
yeah.
Other questions?
So I am also an athlete, different sport, but
what sport?
Swimming. So
yeah,
I
I am
lots
not
of
good at
cardio.
your sport. I am not.
But as it relates to our students, as an athlete, how do you sort of instill that similar drive to be excellent at any given task and continually move progress forward? Because a lot of our students are always tackling different tasks every day. Mm-hmm. They're trying to achieve at high levels, but some of them don't necessarily have that similar background of athletics.
So I would love to say I was the person I was always first in sprints. I was not. So not close to it. But I think that mentality is great because being abnormally high in something compared to a lot of other people, but also looking at once you're amongst the creme of the creme and also now having variances of where you're at. I think I had to understand, like, I'm gonna be the strongest person in this room. Guaranteed. You're not gonna out squat me, you're not gonna out bench me. When we're running, I'm gonna see exactly what your ponytail look like.
I'm gonna lead from behind.
I am going there, exactly, because there's a time to lead and there's a time to follow. And sprints was one of those. As a woman of God, I say, I jog for Jesus, I don't sprint for Satan. But I think it's the perspective, and I think that helped me. Understanding that I am not always going to be first, but there's always continuous work to do. So how can I work to not be last? So now that I'm not last, how can I be 13th? Now that I'm 13th, how can I be 12th? And so finding value and grace in that of sometimes finishing is the actual reward. Like, life is tough. Like, I always say, like, adulthood is the worst hood. Like, that's also another, like, piece of advice I always give. Stay in a child's place as long as possible. And so sometimes you have to have grace and empathy with yourself. I finished. Point blank, period. Now, how can I do better and want more for myself? I think I struggle more with those who don't have an athletic mindset, because I'm like, we failed. Like, let's go back at it again. Then people don't rebound as quickly as I do, or like, we succeeded and they want like a week-long parade, and I'm like, great, tomorrow's a new day. Like, how can we do it again? I think I struggle more with that, of like having to give more grace for people who don't know how to rebound quicker from loss, and how to shorten their celebration, not because I don't want to value what you did, that was great, but like, what have you done for me lately? So I don't know if I went on a tangent and answered your question or not. Okay, but yeah. So many other questions. Oh my gosh, you all can't see this in the audience, but every hand is raised. Every hand is raised. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, what are a couple things you'd tell someone that's looking to get into your industry?
Yeah, so my first question would be, what do you want to do? Like, what entry point? So I think that kind of helps, because it's, the diaspora is so large. I think for so long, when someone's saying, how do I get into this industry? They're talking about engineer and astronaut. So my advice tailors depending on the entry point. If you want to be an engineer, we're gonna have to go hard science. But you're also like, don't get stuck into one form of engineering. Like, explore the diaspora. There's electrical engineers, there's mechanical engineers. Like, we've learned that like when people are building spacecrafts, people are like, oh, the engineers are building that. Engineers suck at building, what I've learned. It's the technicians that are the ones building it up. But again, it's but for the general piece of knowledge is network. Who do you know in the industry that can help open up access, that would be an advocate for you? And that's how I got here as well. Like, there were people that were willing to advocate for me. There are people, and even now, like stepping into this position from the background that I had, my board is advocating for me. You know what I mean? Like the other industry professionals that I have had the ability to build up my network. So who do you have access to that can, one, widen your network within there, but two, help you with the educational information that you're going to need to utilize now to prepare for that, but also continue to help you develop as a professional? That is very vague advice, so I'm sorry. But the more specifics that I know about what their passions are, then I can, help with some more detail.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you looking to go into the industry?
Maybe.
What's your entry point?
Check your phone real quick and ask the question.
Oh.
Yeah.
Impromptu question.
Yeah. Can you hire me or give me an internship?
Wow. Can I hire you or give you an internship? The answer is yes. And so it is yes, and we will talk about that later. If you're looking, are you in the Pittsburgh area?
I used to be. I went to school at Robert Morris.
Oh, now two together. Nice. Okay, so are you over in Lancaster now?
I'm in Lancaster now.
Is it Lancaster? Lancaster?
So it's Lancaster, but I don't blame you if you say Lancaster.
Lancaster?
Like
Lan kissed her.
Lancaster.
Lang, and then you kiss her.
That's lovely.
Did I not get that?
That's lovely.
I'm not
Yes.
from here.
Yes, let's talk and let's see if it's some remote stuff access. I would probably say for employment we're maxed, but offering up the opportunity to develop some projects or some internship stuff. I heard that where you're currently at, they have a robust fund to help support internships. So I think we can partner on making sure that you have some experiences, and it can be done in a remote way to help you.
All right.
There you go.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Of course.
You got a question? You got a mic?
She raised her hand first.
Oh, awkward.
That's what happens when you challenge me in basketball.
Sucker.
Most people who go into
No, it
the
was you.
fires before boom.
I love it.
Okay.
Oh, there was no question.
See? Oh. Oh Lord.
Hi. Thank you so much for this. I feel like I could chat with you for hours, as we've already established. One thing that I'm really curious about is, as you're working with students and getting them to think a lot about the future and like what the future of space exploration looks like, I'm curious if, in your opinion, there are any sort of like ethical or cultural questions that we need to be asking / pushing our students to ask if they're like looking to embrace going further, like into space and those sorts of things?
I think that there's always going to be the questions of expanding representation. Like the last studies that I saw was like, look at this, we don't have access to, everyone's commercial space numbers, but like looking at the last time I saw, like NASA's numbers are like a 70-30 split with gender, 70-30 split with like race, ethnicity, and then that's every person of color within that 30 and not expanded upon. So I think there's always questions about like what is that being one of few or one of one in that industry. I'd say the biggest things that we're in terms of like, you said ethical and what else?
Ethical or sort of cultural questions.
I think it's how do we just get the resources out, expanded? Like, so by 2030, there's supposed to be 1 million position workforce gap. And so I guess for me, the ethical question would be is if we know that this gap is coming, then as industry professionals that are in it, what are we doing and what are we not doing to make sure that we fill this gap in working with the resources across, the country. So we focus on our Keystone region, so Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio. So if I'm not doing something to help fill that, knowing that there's an opportunity gap in rural communities, knowing that there's a gap in Black communities, knowing that there's a gap in, low socioeconomic communities, I think it's more so on those that are already in the positions of power and how are they ensuring that they're working with the communities, the organizations, the educational institutions, the informal educational institution to bridge that. I think on the individual side, it's just preparing them for what that is, especially if they don't fit the monolithic viewpoint of what an industry professional looks like and or does. But I think it's on people within the industry to work with to make sure that the others have the opportunity. So the ethics would come from why are you not actually providing resources and opportunities, knowing that there's this market out there? Why are you not providing educational access for those that can help fill this workforce gap? Why are we not talking more about the real pathways that are in there instead of allowing the monolithic viewpoint to continue to be at the forefront? So like I don't know if a lot of people know, like NASA, in terms of filling out workforce, is like for people with trades, people who are going to get their, welding and stuff like that. Like that is needed. And sometimes people hear aerospace and they think 4-year degree, doctoral degree, master degree, which is great and we need that. But there are other ways for people with other talents to enter it as well. So, yeah.
Seb?
Okay, just like a little bit of a two-parter. Cool. So if your life was a movie title, what would the title be and why?
Ooh. If my life was a movie title, what would it be and why? Passport to My Dreams. I know, that's a dope one. He thought I wasn't prepared. I'm always prepared, except for her question. Passport to My Dreams. And Passport is one of the most valuable resources that you can get in this country. It unlocks different spaces and places and cultures. And so offering up access to my dreams and not letting them die, keeping them alive, in making sure that, a dream can be deferred. And I'm okay with that, but it's harder when dreams die. So how can I offer up more passports to allow my dreams to flourish?
That's awesome. And then my second question is, if it's like 3 minutes before game time,
yeah,
what's that song that you're putting on in the locker room before you get ready to go out and score 42 points?
Joke she had. Twice. 42 points twice. Man, it changed. Like when I was in undergrad and I was still playing, it was definitely a lot of Lil Wayne. Now it's Weezy's just a great lyricist, man. Now it's a lot of Lecrae, it's a lot of Pastor Mike Jr. It's a lot of No Big Deal. So Coming in Hot is a great song. Coming in Hot with Lecrae, like it. Yeah, it's just so cool. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. Like it's great. Yeah, Christian rap is coming up. Like the beats are Tommy Zuko is like another one that's on the rise. Yeah, it's a great song. It's hype. It's great. So yeah, Coming in Hot. Thank you. Yep.
Terry.
Okay, we got to talk about this.
All right.
You're in Zeta Phi Beta.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our students might not know anything about what it means to join a historically Black Greek organization.
Yeah.
And I am all for exposing students to that.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, explaining too that historically Black doesn't mean exclusively Black. But I was just wondering if you could speak a bit to your experience as a member, what inspired you to cross, aka join the organization.
ZKA.
Yeah, I was just curious if you could speak a bit about your experience, what inspired you to join it, and what like sort of benefits you've had as a result.
I want to actually add on to that question.
Okay.
And did you know anyone personally or in your family who was Greek before you crossed?
Yes and yes. And I think that's the end of the yes and no questions for you. The other ones are a short answer. So my mom is a Zeta. And so my mom and I, like, we are cool beans and all good, but we are also oil and water in some cases. And not in negatives, but she is like baking and those things, and I am like, I'll cook because I just want to cook by eyesight in some things. And I was sportsy and she was not. But growing up actually in seeing the Nelly in the house, she actually wasn't active when I was growing up. And so it was actually a shock to her, and I didn't tell her that I was pursuing it because I wanted to surprise her. She found out a little bit later because of COVID things. But it just aligned. Like there's just a level of class, of service, of finer womanhood, of sisterhood that is amongst my sorors and I, that was always great, to happen. I'm also like an only child, but I'm also one of four. And so I grew up an only child, and being able to have like sisters around me was something that I yearned. And then I also went to PWIs since I was 7th grade and on. And so being immersed in a city that's predominantly white, in my foundational years was a predominantly Black school, but most of my teachers were white. And then going to a middle school that was PWI, a high school that was PWI, and everything after that PWI, like sometimes it's just nice to be around people who just get it, and I don't have to code switch or I don't have to explain other things down the line. So my mother was an inspiration, followed up by the dedication of service and community and sisterhood. And then the other questions were, how is it beneficial, if I'm not mistaken, to others? And it goes back to how we were talking about earlier of like network. And so like most people are maybe familiar with PWI, sororities or fraternities. And to my knowledge, the difference is those organizations, their community kind of ends at undergrad and it's done. And, D9, we extend into grad chapter, and there's other services that continues to go on. And so the value of being able to be with like-minded people who value things that you value, that's focused on community, that's focused on people, is something that's great. And then again, just the network. So, there's alignment when I'm walking and I'm in the airport and, I see a Soul War or I see frat, because, Sigmas are constitutionally bound.
They are. Yes, they are.
Brothers. But yeah, it's that network, and that can help. And it's also just kind of the rite of passage. Just like you get a certification and you go, oh, we see this cert, and so this person is great at project management. It's also like knowing like, oh, I know what this Zeta, had to go through in order to become a Zeta. I know, what the Sigma had to go through in order to become a Sigma, and just being able to help nurture that. There was one more question, and I'm not sure I answered it.
I think you did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, you got it all.
As it does. We normally always knock it out the park.
I really appreciate you bringing up the analogy of looking at Greek membership in similar ways to a certification. I'm a member of Alpha Chi Omega, so one of the other Greek organizations that you were referencing, and I was at a leadership conference for Millersville presidents, and a board of trustee, a member of their board of trustee, who is also Greek, said that one of the first things they also look at on LinkedIn is, are you a member of a Greek organization? And then take it a step further, are you a member specifically of Order of Omega, which is a Greek honor society? And so, yeah, I have the utmost respect for D9, especially because of your point that the community extends beyond undergrad, and your grad chapters are so involved, and it is so inspiring, and it is beautiful to see. So thank you for wearing your letters today and speaking to it. I think it's really important for our students to see that it can go beyond just your undergraduate years.
Absolutely. 808 is not the only one that has boots on the ground. Zetas be there. No. Old person joke didn't land. It's all right. I did that one out too. Age always finds its way into showing up. Right there, that's where it was.
Fighting words. Any other questions from the audience?
Oh my gosh, so many questions. I don't think we're gonna have time for them all.
This is nothing about aerospace, but you said that you like to write, you did poetry a little bit. Do you still do that, and how does that incorporate into like your personal life, self-care, and like how you go about things creatively in your business and different avenues and networking, things like that?
Yeah, not as much. I will say that it was a great outlet for feelings and to get it out. It started like when we grew up, kids ripped. So like I was always say I'm quick-witted because I'm quick-witted. Also, that one wasn't meant to be funny, but I'm like, no one got it? Okay. But you like think about it. You'll get it in the car.
No, I got it.
It wasn't meant to be funny, but I was like, ooh.
No, I got it.
All
I
right. Go. But it was an outlet for like emotion. Again, there's so many things that when you're just developing who you are as a person and then trying to figure that out amongst other people who are also figuring out who they are, like there's just so many feelings and emotions that sometimes you either can't say or you are afraid to say. And so I utilize poetry to like help get that out. Poetry turned into spoken word turned into like, I would do like raps for my kids. It's on YouTube. Some of them are embarrassing, some of them are really good. But as just a way to engage and connect with people. So like for me, food, music, sports are like some of the things that bring people together from all cultures, all walks of life. I wish I did it more. I would say that my outlet through like expression of music, expression of spoken word, expression of lyricism right now comes from being able to go into live entertainment. And that was one of the questions that you didn't ask me, so I'm going to bring it back in.
I have it for my last one.
Okay.
But it's okay.
All right.
You can go for it.
But that's how like I utilize self-care now. Even if I can't write it down or I'm not in a space to write it down, I've found ways to like ingest it and to listen to it. So every day when I'm in a car, like I'm intentional of what I'm listening to and when I'm listening to it, understanding that it has weight over your mindset. It has weight over your emotions. And so when I'm trying to tone myself down, I'm bringing my emotions down. When I'm trying to get hype and then like excited, like I want some extra stuff. But the pen still has ink in it. I just haven't picked it up in a while. Yes, you can Google them. I know you're already over there trying to find them on YouTube. It's on Instagram too.
There you go.
There you go.
A little plug. In case you wanted to add on anything else, my final question for you today. Go. Outside of your professional identity, what brings you joy these days?
Yeah. My faith. Always goes down to that. My faith. I say that my faith brings me joy. Things can impact my happiness. It can make me temporarily happy, can make me temporarily sad, but my faith is my baseline. As long as I'm good with my faith, I'm always going to have joy. Outside of that, spa days. It's a lot of ask. It's a lot of ask that I see day to day within my organization, but then there's a lot of external ask as well. And sometimes it's people will intentionally and unintentionally extract from you, especially when you're in certain positions of access, certain positions within organizations, and finding ways of, regardless if someone has the capacity or is willing to pour into me, I'm going to find time to pour into myself. Mm-hmm. And spa days help because I can like put my phone in the locker and I'm just sitting in a pool or I'm in a jacuzzi or I'm in a steam room or I'm in an ice room, and it's just self-service, live entertainment. And then movies. I love movies. Like anything where I can turn my brain off and just be present, I love. And that's kind of what's self-serving. We are tied to our technology, for better or for worse, where we're at in society. And so finding ways to unplug has always been a source of joy for me right now. And reading. School will sometimes take the joy of reading away because you have to read so many texts and journals and stuff like that. So like I'm back into finding the joy of picking up a physical book, because I need a physical book.
Absolutely.
And turning a page and reading. It's really exciting.
Dr. Brown, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Oh, the applause is so loud. You'll have to edit that down.